One thing that's true for all moms, we have a lot of stories to tell. Some are silly, some are gross, some bring us to tears. With each story that's shared, another mom feels a little less alone. So join us as we laugh, learn, and grow together. It's the iMOM podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of the iMOM podcast. I'm Abby. Susan, Megan, and Chloe are here again, and we are all kind of in vacation mode, although Susan just came back. So you're like in recovering from vacation mode. I'm ready to be on one. I was talking with my women's group a couple weeks ago about, the topic was rest. And we were talking about, just how to find rest in daily life. And then one of them said something like, don't even get me started about trying to go on vacation, because by the time we are ready to even pack the car, I'm to the point where I don't even want to go. I'm so stressed. I'm so tired. I don't even want to go. And it made me really think about how a family vacation can be an incredible bonding experience. It can be it should be so much fun, but it can also be really stressful for the parents and mostly the mom. So I want to talk today about how to make vacationing with kids smoother and, of course, more fun. So I want to start with any vacation horror stories. Anybody got one?
Well, mine's not really a horror story, but it was I was imagining the worst thing that could happen, and it happened. So yeah. But basically it was James' first flight, and all week he had been kind of stuffed up and just kind of gross, but just so much extra mucus. So he had been spitting up a lot, and spitting up, projectile vomiting. But he wasn't sick. So I was like, okay, we can still go. And it was kind of at the end of it. So I was like, this probably won't happen on the plane, but it might. So I'm just kind of mentally preparing for it. Well, we had two different flights. And on the second flight, it was literally right as we were about to descend, thank God. But I mean, he just projectile vomited all over me. Did it hit the front seat? No, fortunately, it was all on me. So I only had to, go through the airport with vomit in my hair and on my outfit. But it did not affect the other passengers, thank God.
Vacation went up from there, though.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, honestly, like I said, it was the thing in my mind, the worst thing that could happen. And it happened. And it didn't ruin our trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a similar experience. We were in a hotel room 3 nights, and we went out to dinner the first night, and my son loves pasta. We'll get any kind of pasta dish. And he's like, oh, Mom, the rigatoni is on special. You ask him to this day, this was 2-3 years ago, he'll say, don't get the special, because it means that they're trying to get rid of it because it's going bad. Because he woke up real early in the morning. He's like, my tummy hurts. And then he and I spent the rest of the day in the hotel room while my other son and my husband and the rest of the family were running around and having fun. And he'll also tell you, if a commercial for Wendy's comes on and they show the chicken nuggets, I'm going to throw up. Yeah. So it was me and him all day, just, watching shows and him running back and forth to the bathroom. And it's it's just I don't think Mom always is the one that stays. Dad sometimes stays back, but it's just kind of how vacation goes sometimes. So, I was talking to another friend about moms and vacations, and he said, I think that moms put too high expectations on the trip. And that's why it can be stressful for them, because they want, especially if it's the one vacation they're going to take over the summer or whatever, they want it to be really, really fun for everybody. They want these picture perfect moments. So let's talk a little bit about how a mom can stay realistic with her expectations, but also, stay positive about them.
I think the biggest thing is remembering what your goal is for your vacation. And I think for me, it was always, I want us to have an experience wherever we're traveling, someplace new, and I want to create a memory. Because growing up, I have a lot of bad and good memories. But the point is, some memories can be those horror stories. Remember the vacation when blank, we all got sick. Or for me, it was roaches in the camper. It had been in storage.
No.
And, we had a camper.
No.
Yeah. And opened the door and they were everywhere at night. It was awful. But, we all remember it. All 4 of us kids in my family remember that horror story. So remember what your goal is. And then it's an adventure, and you have to ride the roller coaster for whatever happens. So the problem is we get this vision of this perfect vacation, and all the kids are just loving each other and blah, blah, blah. And then it rains the whole time and everybody's stuck inside or whatever. So be flexible, be creative, have a backup plan, and know that bad or good, it's going to be a memory.
I have a friend whose husband has that that mindset of the times when things go wrong, those are the ones, like if everybody can walk out and, unscarred for the most part, those are the trips that you're going to remember. Like we all did a boating thing that ended up with one kid getting stitches, another kid getting stung by jellyfish. And that's like the one we all remember.
Oh, we have a camping, Megan. Remember when it rained like the monsoon the entire night? We woke up, everybody was sleeping in puddles. And the dads were like, we're not going to Hardee's. There's like a Hardee's a mile down there. We're not going to Hardee's. We are making pancakes in the rain. I'm like, where are we going to eat it? But they forced us
funny.
and we did it.
Wet pancakes in the rain.
Love it.
Love it.
And I had a friend tell me one time too, that mentally, now that you have kids, you have to think there's a difference between a trip and a vacation. A trip is somewhere you go with your kids. A vacation is somewhere you go by yourself or with your spouse or with your friends, kid free. And that helped me really mentally separate the two and really get used to, okay, this is a trip with our kids and it is going to be fun. And we will make memories, but it is still going to be work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that there are some women who can't necessarily take a separate trip. I mean, maybe they would get like a little one night away with their husband or something like that, but maybe they just don't have the time or the ability or somebody to watch their kids for a week or so, or the money. Yeah. And so they still have to like go into that vacation or that trip with their kids kind of with the tools to actually still enjoy it.
But I think Megan's point on the trip is you still have to parent. You can't just go lay by the pool. And if that means
what?
If that means, you're breaking up sibling fights or one child is just having, you got a 3-year-old, the other kids are ready to go and the 3-year-old's in a major meltdown because they've missed their nap 3 days away and one parent has to stay behind. You have to be okay with that and not have so much FOMO that you let it rob your joy if you're the parent who stays with the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good point that, like you said, the parenting doesn't stop when you're on vacation. And in fact, if you do discipline them or you do have to enforce some consequence, it might even have a greater impact if you're on vacation, say Liam wasn't sick, say he had done something really bad and we stayed back in the hotel while everybody else went on, man, that would have sunk in. That would have been a big lesson. So parenting doesn't stop.
This is going to sound really harsh, but we adopted older kids and at times they would feed off each other or whatever. And for the first few years, when we went on a family vacation, we would only bring one of them and one would have to stay behind with a grandparent just because there was so much interaction with the two of them that it would destroy everybody's fun.
Well, how did that work?
Well, I would try to take both always, but if one of them, and again, this speaks to kids, who had a lot of baggage, but if one of them was in a bad place where they were just really testing the limits, I would say, you know what, you're not ready for a vacation and we're spending a lot of money on this trip and I can't, allow you to destroy everyone else's fun. And they got it. And so we have family vacation pictures where, one of them wasn't there, whatever, but they remember that, and then they tried to earn the privileges. Hey, vacations are coming up. Are you going to be able to go? Can you get in a good space where you're going to not ruin it for everybody else?
Yeah.
Taking kids anywhere is hard. Taking kids to the grocery store is hard. You just don't have expectations of like, oh my gosh, this trip to Aldi is going to be the best trip to Aldi we've ever been on. So it's like when you get ready for a vacation, you have, like you said, these expectations. So it is just tampering it. Like you parent every day. Every day is difficult in some way. So parts of your vacation will be difficult. Okay. But parts of it are going to be like unlike any other ordinary day.
Would you rather they have a temper tantrum in Aldi or in Hawaii?
That's a good point.
Yeah. If you're overly stressed about it and it's more stress and work than you feel like it's worth, then yeah, absolutely don't go. But I do think it can be good to get through it, just to push through it and make it work. And so that you can have some fun memories as a family and get out of town, just to get out of the routine and get out of the chores and everything like that. Because it is work with traveling with kids. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of stress. And you have to do a ton of chores leading up to it just to be able to get out of town, which sometimes makes it feel like it's not worth it. But at the same time, I think I don't know if you're ever going to look back and be like, oh, I really wish we hadn't done that.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think it's worth it just to push through it and go with those kids and make those memories. And then if it was absolutely the worst thing ever, I guess never do it again. But I think it's always worth it to spend that time with your kids and with your family.
And I will say this, if you don't push through it, you're never going to develop the muscle and the expertise to do it well.
Well, and I think they've got to get used to traveling. Like, I mean, not get used to it, but like get used to flying so that when they're older, they don't like freak out when they get on a plane for the first time.
Yeah. Be adaptable to life outside of your home too.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. And like for me personally, I remember I had to fly with James by myself for the first time. And I did not have like one of those little travel formula things that's super easy to flip over and put in the bottle. And I, no joke, am sitting on this flight next to this couple that I think they were on their honeymoon because they were very touchy-feely. And I have James as an infant in my lap, and I go to dump the formula in the bottle, and it goes all over them out of the Ziploc bag, like all over them. And these people definitely looked like they did not have kids, and they were not happy about it. But like, again, if that's the worst thing that ever, I mean, you just get through it and you're like, well, that was terrible. And I'm embarrassed, but I'm never going to see those people again.
Yeah. Megan, maybe you need to post all the things you've bought since you've become a travel expert to help with children.
That question is coming up later. So please hold. Yes. So let's talk about practical tips then to help moms before the vacation starts. Because that's what like the consensus among my group of friends at this women's group was, I'm tired before we even pull out of the driveway. So what can you do before the vacation or when you're like on the way?
So I was really into making my kids independent with 5 kids. I was not going to pack for them. Yeah. And so I had a list. You need 6 pairs of underwear. You need this.
Clean
and then
underwear.
Exactly. And then I had these Lands' End duffel bags that came in these bright colors. I got everybody a different color so they could see it coming off the belt.
Love it.
And I had it monogrammed with their initials. And you were in charge. They had rolling wheels at one end. They were in charge of packing it. They were in charge of getting it off the belt. They were in charge of pulling it through the airport, and there was no way they could miss them because they were neon.
Love that.
That's great.
I love that idea. I like to get my kids involved in the planning part, and I'm not saying that I give them all this liberty to like choose where we're going, but we'll talk about, okay, this night we're going to go out for dinner at this kind of place. Where would you guys like to go? Or, say you and your husband have 2 ideas. We're either going to go to the Blue Ridge Mountains or we're going to go to the beach in North Carolina. Which one would you guys rather do? You already are fine with either answer, and you kind of let them vote and chip in. I just think that when you give them an opinion or let them share their opinion, you kind of get them a little bit more invested in the vacation, and then they might be more willing to participate in some of the things. And I think this is probably good for kids when they get to be, 10, 11, 12, 14 in that age where maybe there's some parts of the vacation that they're like, oh, mom, I don't want to do it.
I'm a big notes app person. So I'll put write out every single thing I need to pack in my notes app. And then I have a staging area, which is just like the front room. Everything in the staging area will need to go in the car the day of. And we'll leave that heavy lifting to my husband. But I will prep the staging area because, with babies, it's like I got to pack the monitor and a lot of last minute items. So that's why I've got the notes to check. If it's in the staging area, check.
I love that. I know some people will actually pack the car the night before. So if it's a road trip, they actually put everything except for just their one bag of all the stuff that they need that morning. Otherwise, everything's in the car, which keeps you from fighting about the Tetris that you have to play to pack the back of the car.
Yeah, we used to wake our kids up really early in their pajamas and put them in bed and get 2 hours of driving when they're still half asleep.
That's good.
That can backfire on you though. That can backfire because they all of a sudden have the adrenaline of oh, we're on vacation.
My middle brother loved to sleep in. I just remembered this. You just unlocked this memory. And I remember one time we were leaving really early for a trip to Georgia, and he slept in the car the night before.
Oh
he
my
did,
gosh.
And they let him?
That's hilarious.
That's awesome. He's like, I'm not waking up. You'll just pull out. I'll be asleep.
Way to go. It works.
Lock them in. Waking up in Georgia. Yeah. So Megan, what are some things, I know that you do travel a lot with the kids. What are some of the things that you're I'm definitely packing these for my kids, either for a flight or for a car ride?
I think that's hard because I think it depends on the kid's age. So right now my kids are about to be 5 and 2. And so my oldest one, he's thrilled to just be able to have unlimited screen time and get to watch his pad and have snacks. Like as long as I have his pad and his snacks and his headphones, he's great. Which, by the way, get the wireless headphones. Don't get the ones with a wire. Get wireless. There's some really cheap ones on Amazon that Bluetooth to the pad, which are worth every penny to not have that wire that they like keep pulling out. And then my younger one is a little bit tougher because he doesn't really love to watch TV yet, but it's just snacks. Like if I just hand him one piece of goldfish at a time, it'll last a while. And sometimes I'll be able to get him to watch a little bit of TV. But there's also just like fun little these little busy boards that they can kind of do on the plane. But it's really just like playing with them when they're at that age and just keeping them going. But snacks are a huge thing. One thing I also have a contradictory opinion on is everyone's like, oh, bring your stroller to the gate and just gate check it so they can stay in it. Hard pass. And here's why. So you can do that, but you can also check it when you check your bags, because if you're traveling with kids, most likely you're checking a bag. And the reason I did not like bringing it to the gate is because then when you're boarding the plane, you're like holding up the whole line, trying to get your stroller folded down and get your stuff out of it and your baby out of it. And you like feel rushed and flustered. Like there's been times I'm like blanked and I couldn't even remember how to fold down my own stroller. And if you're by yourself, you like need an extra hand, and then who's holding the other kid and yada, yada. So I think it's so much easier to just either wear them in a carrier and walk on the plane with them if they can still fit in a carrier, or just hold them until you get on and let them burn some energy and run around the terminal until you get on, because then you don't have to fiddle with your bags, food, snacks, the stroller, all that stuff. You can just walk right on. And then also a tip that I love to do with my oldest one is now he's a backpack for school. So I make him carry his own stuff. He carries his own snacks, his pad, his headphones, any toys that he wants to bring, and he has to shuttle it on and be responsible for it. So I love that he's old enough now that I don't have to carry his stuff.
And sometimes he packs surprise things that we don't know. Where did this come from?
Hopefully TSA approved surprises. Exactly. I have to one more tip on that. Like I completely agree, Megan. Like never would gate check a stroller in my opinion. But also boarding last was a good move that we made. So my husband would board and kind of like save our seats, and then I would board last.
Yeah. Very smart. Less time to have to sit still.
Yeah, the more they can run around before they have to sit, the better.
Yeah. So another thing you have to do in advance before you actually are on vacation is set expectations with the kids' behavior. Is that a talk? And that looks different for a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old. What would you say, Susan?
Yeah, I like to reward behavior on vacation because I want everyone to level up. So we drove a lot because we had so many kids. And this is going to sound really hokey, but I had these felt things that I had bought, and I tied them around in front of their seat, and literally every 15 minutes there was an activity, and they could earn tokens towards fun money to spend.
Oh, fun.
So it was like 15 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of listening to this Narnia thing, 15 minutes of that. Like it was literally.
Look, it's another pocket where the token says quiet time.
Hey, we're going to stop now. And to get gas, everyone go to the bathroom. You went to the bathroom, you get a token. It was like every little thing. That. And they would keep collecting them, and they equated to money. And then, because they all want to spend money on vacation, they buy stuff. So
what was the pin thing?
That was the pin. The pin was the token. I had all these little pins, and they'd pin them to the felt thing. And so they'd start lining up their pins, and every pin was worth so much money, and then they could cash them in.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea.
I love that. Yeah. I think too that someone said something earlier about the privilege of taking a vacation or whatever. I think that there is a point before you head out where you kind of give that, do you know how much of a blessing this is? Yeah. Talk, like we've been talking about this, we've been talking details, we've been packing, but let's just take a moment to look at the fact that this is a privilege that we get to experience together as a family. And think about that before you complain, before you pick a fight, before I pick a fight with my husband, like get everybody in the mindset of gratitude. And you'd hope that would make your experience better as a mom too, right?
Yeah. And I think really having those discussions with the older kids is important. Hey, we're going on a trip. You're older. You can help more. Or you're older. You can manage your emotions when the little ones are melting down. You can help defray that so we all have more fun. So I think the older your kids are, just adding those responsibilities to their behavior and making them part of like the adult group of, we're going to make this a good vacation and it's going to take some flexibility on my part.
Yeah. I think that for moms to enjoy vacations more, you have to let go of some of the rules. You have to, while you're still parenting, you do need to get a little more loosey-goosey. So what are some like rules you throw out the window or fun traditions or treats that you do? I mean, Susan, you just mentioned the little pegs or whatever, but
pins.
Mm-hmm. The pins, pegs.
I would say, choose wisely how you're going to break the rules, like treats. Okay, you're going to give your kids treats. They're going to get sugar they never get normally or whatever. So make a wise move. Don't do it in the morning. Don't do it in the afternoon. Don't do it. Do it at night and then put them to bed, so it doesn't, because some kids don't handle it. And we had certain kids who didn't respond well to sugar, but we knew everyone was going to get it. It was part of it. We're going out for ice cream.
Yeah. We used to get one treat per vacation. Like if we did a day at Disney or whatever, we'd get to get one treat. And I always would get, it was like in the candy store in Magic Kingdom right on Main Street. It was like a plastic cube with just the tiny little lid came off, and I would get jujubes, the little tiny thing, the sugar cubes that I swear would pull out a tooth. They were gross. They were so gross, but that was the one I always wanted.
I'm judging your decision.
Mickey Mouse ears. You've got Mickey Mouse ears there.
Not that expensive of a thing. Like
no,
Mickey
Mouse, the ice cream
ears. I thought you meant like the actual ears.
No, the ice cream.
Or I would get I'll rewind. I'll go back 40
come
years.
on,
go back to Disney.
Or I would get a balloon or something like that.
You can tell we live, three of us live an hour from Disney.
Yeah. So how do you prioritize your own needs then? Like as a mom, and you're not going to be there to like have a spa day all to yourself. That's not necessarily what this vacation is, but what can you do to make sure you're taking care of yourself so you don't blow up at your kids while you're on vacation?
One thing Mark always makes sure is he'll say, oh, we're going here because this is where mom really wants to go. Like if it's, whatever it is, this is something mom wants to see. So they know, oh, we got to be good in this one because mom wants it. And it helps your kids see we're not going to just do what you want to do. I know you guys don't like museums, but mom wants to go to this one. So we're going to go.
Yeah. Cool.
And that makes you feel like you're getting to do one thing you want.
And I think what I'm hearing there is that your husband is caring for you.
Yes.
While you're caring for the kids, he's caring for you. And I think that would help for sure.
Yeah.
We would try to like take advantage of nap time. Like if they were doing quiet time or nap time, one person would go do something while the other person stays back and then trade the next day so that you can go do one thing that you want to by yourself or just go relax, do whatever.
I love that. I think that's neat.
That's great.
We'll sometimes do that. We'll like divide and conquer. If there's something that he wants to do and I don't, then, or like even just we were somewhere a few weeks ago and I was like, I'm just going to walk. You guys are going to take this little boat. I'm going to walk. And I had 10 minutes to myself just to walk and not have to talk to anybody and people watch and just do my own thing. So,
nice.
Yeah. I also think that for me, when I'm with my kids and on vacation, I'm a big planner. Like I will have all the things planned out, but I also leave room for spontaneity and just kind of go with the flow. And then they'll ask me, they're like, well, Mom, when are we doing this? Or when are we going home? Or when are we doing this? And I'll say, you know what? Let's just see where the day takes us. That's the line that I always say is let's see where the day takes us. And that's like no pressure then, if we're all turning sour and we need to be done, then we'll leave. And there's no complaining. It's just like I said, we're going to be here until we're here and then we're going to go home. And then if we want to stay longer, we stay longer.
I think that's a good point because for me, I am a financial person. I'd always want to get the most out of a ticket or whatever. And sometimes with kids, you need to let it go.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if they're all going down into, you can't push staying, you just need to go.
Yeah.
I feel like, I think my dad used to always say this. He'd be like vacation rules, and vacation rules where everyone can do whatever they want to do. There were set times that we did have things to do together as a family. But when we were older, he'd be like, vacation rules. If you want to go do that, great.
Cool. I love that. What a spontaneous dad.
Yeah.
It was really Ricky Bateman's rule.
Vacation Mark.
Vacation Mark is way better. Yeah. Yeah, vacation mark is fun. But that was Ricky Bateman's rule at the lake house. Hey, vacation rule. You don't want to ski, you don't ski.
Yeah.
You want to ski, let's go.
I love that.
And you can divide and conquer families. You're like, okay, you girls want to go shop for a while. We want to go look at the golf course, whatever.
If you have the ability, if you have friends who travel well together, that's kind of my big thing is we travel with friends and their kids whenever we can. And it's been really good because it feels like we're getting friend time and family time. And, like you said, if you want to do this, find someone else that wants to do that and go together.
If you're taking a vacation this year, we hope that some of these ideas will help you enjoy the time with your family and let go of some of that stress that comes with traveling with kids. And if your vacation is a road trip, look in the show notes for some really fun games that you can play in the car. And thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the iMOM podcast. iMOM is the motherhood program of the nonprofit organization Family First. Along with our fatherhood program, All Pro Dad, we exist to help you love your family well. Subscribe to our daily email, the iMOM Minute, by going to imom.com/subscribe and get tons of great ideas, insight, and inspiration. The iMOM podcast is hosted by me, Abby Watts, along with Susan Merrill, Megan Tigner, and Chloe Blumenthal.